And welcome to episode 72 of the TechnoBuffalo Show. I'm one of your two hosts for today, Sean, editor-in-chief of the site, and I'm joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Hey, everybody.
How are you doing today, Todd?
I'm good.
Yeah, someday people are going to go, do you two not talk before the show? How do you not know how he's doing?
No, it's just,
It's a nicety.
Formalities, yeah.
Formalities, exactly. So, yes, it is the quiet time of the year. We're in the holidays and leading up to CES, which means companies are not announcing anything.
Yeah, it's just dead, literally dead.
Yes, a tumbleweed blew through my office earlier. It was kind of sad, But there are a couple things we can discuss. Of course, there's some... I don't know if you've heard of it. It's some little movie. I think it was done independently. Star Wars, The Farce.
I read about that somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. I don't know. And supposedly it's doing okay at the theaters. I mean, it's making a little bit of money.
Yeah, it was like an indie film, right?
Yeah, it was an indie film, which a lot of people don't realize. Actually, the original Star Wars was an indie film.
Was it really?
Yes.
That's pretty funny.
Yes, it was picked up for distribution by 20th Century Fox, but it was an indie film.
That's amazing. I didn't know that. Good thing I made that.
Yeah, it's the most successful indie film ever. But no, of course, we're talking about Star Wars: The Force Awakens, which came out last week. Has continued to break box office records. Just before the show started, I looked up the Tuesday box office numbers. It's at the highest Tuesday ever, and it also crossed 300 million domestic in only 5 days, which is a new record. The old record was Jurassic World from this summer with 8 days. So it's doing unbelievable box office. And
now, what's the record that Avatar holds again? What's that?
That is worldwide, global, all-time 2.78 billion.
Oh, it's an all-time record.
That's an all-time record. That's the record, everyone, and Such and Bahal's in the questions already asking about that. Can Star Wars: The Force Awakens beat Avatar? The whole thing people need to remember about Avatar is that it was built upon repeat viewings. It was also the fact that it was unlike anything we had seen before. It really was the launch of the new 3D movement.
Right.
It was really the first use of motion capture. I mean, there had been motion capture, but he really took it up to a new level. Mm-hmm. All that being said, I hate that movie. I really do not like that movie.
I thought it was like entertaining, but it was one, I guess it's one I've never thought about again. So
yeah, well, go watch Dances with Wolves, then watch Avatar, and go, hey, look, it's the same movie.
Really?
It's almost beat for beat the same movie.
Wow, that's bad.
Yeah, it's really, and there had been other movies that had done the same story over the years. It's kind of amazing. But we'll see. I mean, all that being said, I'm thinking about going back and seeing Star Wars again, and I haven't done multiple viewings in a theater in years. But for everyone's knowledge, yes, I have seen it. I went and saw it Monday night. Todd has not seen it yet.
Nope.
Yeah, because Todd, wants to be all, I'm not going with the crowd.
No, I probably would, but all the theaters are crowded and stuff, and I'm just like,
and that's why I waited till Monday night. I mean, everyone was amazed that I did not go opening night, but I was just like, look, I want to be able to sit there and actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be
crammed in the middle. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And as it was, I gotta share this little story about my little town theater. We do have an 8-plex. It opened, I think, around 2000 or so. Mm-hmm. So I got there early enough to get the back row, which I always want the back row so I can see as much of the screen as possible. And there was a group of 2 seats by themselves right in the middle. I'm like, yes. So I go and sit down the first one. I almost sink to the floor. The seat's so busted. I'm like, oh, great. So I moved to the seat to the left. That one, no problem. It's going to seat me fine, except half the left arm is gone because people have torn off.
This is why I don't like movie theaters.
I know, man. I know. And
your feet are sticking to the floor.
I know. And in my town, this is the only theater. So what choice do you have? But yes, I've seen it. Yes, I wrote it up on I don't usually like promoting my own personal site, but if you want to see all my thoughts, you can go to seanpiani.com, and I wrote up all my personal thoughts on it there. But all that being said, such a Bahal is asking to live up to my expectations. I think I have to see it multiple times before I can really say that. I'll say this. I mean, it definitely was not the Phantom Menace.
Which you loved.
As much as I defend the prequels, even I can't defend the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Nobody can defend the Phantom Menace. I'm sorry, you just can't. But as it stands right now, it's in my top 3 Star Wars films for sure. I was really pleasantly surprised by the amount of humor and that all the humor worked. Which is not, I mean, yes, there's always been some humor in the Star Wars films, but this one had some truly laugh out loud moments. I was like, okay, that's new and I'm fine with it.
Here's my question that I had a problem with, and I guess it was the 3 newer ones where I just sort of like felt like I was just sitting there almost like Lord of the Rings, just like, okay. Did you ever have that kind of experience, or was it more like the first 3 where there was always something sort of going on? It wasn't just sort of chatter among, what seemed like diplomats and stuff like that.
There was always something going on.
See, that I think I would like that a lot better.
And there was maybe like one chatter scene, but it's like this long it really needed to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
It was. I won't say what it was about, but yeah, it was an essential scene to setting up what's going to come. And that's one thing. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, they didn't explain this and they didn't explain that. And, how could they not explain that? Most stories are built on a 3-act structure. This is the first of 3 acts.
Right.
Yes, The Force Awakens has 3 acts within it, but The Force Awakens is the first part of a new trilogy. So that's like saying, I want you to give me a book in 3 parts, but I want to know everything in part 1 of the book, and part 2 and 3 are then what?
Right. Like you have to leave it sort of open-ended and stuff and build that story arc, right?
Exactly. And that's what they're doing. They set up a lot of stuff that's going to continue into episodes 8 and 9. So it's just folks, calm down. Now, I will say this. There were a lot of times where Lucas promised us things that never explained it. He promised us for ages before the prequels came out, I'm going to explain Force ghosts. He never explained Force ghosts. Never explained why some Jedi became Force ghosts, some didn't. You got a little brief thing about Yoda had been talking with Qui-Gon, and that was it. I was just like, oh, great. Midi-chlorians were mentioned, then never mentioned again. So yes, there are some people out there. I mean, yeah, that was Lucas though. This is Disney. Disney's going, we spent over $4 billion on this. We got to make this good.
Right.
Yeah, but Present, I'll get to your question. I just read it. Well, I mean, normally we save questions for them, but I'll go ahead and jump to this. So Brazen Franco asks, wasn't really amazed by Star Wars, was kind of disappointed, actually, not trying to spoil. And does this mean that certain someone without training is better than Anakin? I'm going to assume you're meaning the one who wins the fight. And I'm going to say that I think we're going to learn there's a lot more going on there. A lot more going on. So I here, let me communicate in hand signals and hope people can't.
I'm sitting here just like,
but I get that some people were disappointed. I think a lot of people went in just like I went into the prequels with super high expectations. The problem there was that, we had been since 1977, there had been this mention of, you fought beside my father in the Clone Wars. And every kid that I was 6 when it came out, and at school we were all talking about, what were the Clone Wars? What were the Clone Wars? And we all came up with our own little theories of what the Clone Wars were and what they meant. And so we had years and years. I mean, by the time episode 1 came out, we had 22 years to think about what the Clone Wars were. we were kind of our own worst enemies going into the prequels. And then he delivered the Phantom Menace, and well, he was his own worst enemy at that point. But so I'm very hopeful for this trilogy. I think it had a good start. We'll see where it goes. I mean, as I said in my own personal review, there is absolutely nothing I can say at this point that will stop anyone from seeing this movie. I could tell you that, I think the movie gave me cancer, and people would still be going to see this movie.
Yeah.
And more power to everyone. I hope everyone enjoys it. I think, and again, I hate keep bringing this up. As I explained in my own review, that I have a very, very deep connection to Star Wars. I saw it in 1977 in the theater. I, without question, know that it set me on some of the things that have happened in my life. It set me on the course of becoming a complete geek and, becoming a toy journalist for many years. And, it led to me having a comic book store for 15 years. Star Wars, without doubt, shaped my life in a lot of ways. So I have a very, very different connection with Star Wars than a lot of people. So if people are disappointed by it, hey, it's a movie. It's going to appeal to different people.
Right.
But we will come back to a lot of these questions during the Q&A section. The other topic we wanted to touch on this week was, of course, apparently Apple's going to be doing something in March.
March or April, depending on where you're looking. But
I know it's rumors, folks.
Yeah, it's I guess we'll call it the 4-inch iPhone. It's funny, all these sites like or people close to the supply chain, et cetera, are saying either iPhone 6C, which I think makes the most sense, or yesterday it was called the iPhone 7C, which doesn't make sense to me. But yesterday's rumor,
no sense. None.
Yeah. So I'll just go over the rumor real quick for people that aren't familiar. Yesterday's rumor was sort of like a China Mobile leaked, it's carrier in China, a leaked slide, sort of like with its roadmap. And this is the same slide that a day before on Monday referenced the Galaxy S7 for a March release. So now this one is saying, it said, I think it was in Chinese, so like I can't read it, but it was iPhone 7C, April, and that's sort of basically it, right? So that's like the 4-inch iPhone that has been referenced by lots of people. They expect it to sort of have the same body as the iPhone 5S, Touch ID, sort of, but with upgraded internal. So hopefully the A9 processor that you have in the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. So basically just like this 4-inch phone that's hopefully a little bit more affordable. That was, I think, the goal of Apple, but also appealing to the people that want the smaller phones who still, for whatever reason, think the 6S is too big. So a couple interesting things about that I'm kind of curious to see is, that the iPhone 6S battery life is not great, right? And that's already kind of a small phone. So, I mean, they just released that battery pack. So how do they fix that? And B, like, are there still that many people who think that the 5S is too, or the 6S is too big? Like for me, I'm kind of used to that size now. Like it feels about right. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about briefly in the rumor was the naming, where the 7C. I said this in the post. It makes more sense to me that it would be the 6C because we have or just 6 Mini or 6S Mini or something. But because we already have the 6S Plus and the 6S, and then the 7's not going to be something we're going to see until September. So why would they start the 7 moniker, whatever, in April?
There's absolutely no way they're going to start the 7 moniker before the 7 and 7S. There just is no way.
Yeah, so that's the hard thing though, because the slide, the dates for the Galaxy S7 in March, like that makes a lot of sense because you have Galaxy S6 typically in the Galaxy S series in general just sort of unveiled at Mobile World Congress in either late February, early March. March is probably pretty much locked in for me for the Galaxy S7. Like I very much see that happening. And so I kind of trusted the China Mobile slide, and then it also then references the new iPhone. And so piling all those rumors together, it makes a lot of sense that maybe Apple really is for the first time going to introduce another phone sort of mid-year for them. But I also have a hard time. I'm also curious that maybe China Mobile, because I don't know the context of this slide, could be predicting the same way that everybody else is, right? Like going off of analyst reports and saying, well, it seems about right. If these analysts are true, that's when it's going to launch. So we're going to put it in this slide. And then all of a sudden now, going from China to here to whatever, it's just taken out of context.
Yeah.
And it's merely just a prediction and not going to happen. So I don't know, but it seems pretty plausible at this point. I mean, there's so many people that have referenced this device that I have to wonder, like why would it exist if it's not going to happen in some form?
Well, even not so much speaking to that China mobile slide, we've also heard the rumors of an iPad Air 3 in March. And
yeah, exactly. Sorry, I forgot about that.
I'm not sure how much I can believe that. I mean, would Apple, first off, we know they're trying to get the iPad Pro into more hands, but would they launch a major tablet upgrade in that point in the cycle to the holiday sales? That's where I'm getting confused on that one.
I'm certainly confused too. Like, why wouldn't you have had it out now? Or, I don't know, maybe because they're worried about it cannibalizing sales of the, the earlier iPads, like the iPad Air 2, which I still, if I was going to buy an iPad today, just based on the price, I would still go with the iPad Air 2. I mean, to me, this is getting into like a whole nother conversation, but the iPad Pro at its price point just doesn't make any sense once you add that keyboard and stuff. Like, I just can't figure out why you would spend that much versus, I don't know, a MacBook Air or a MacBook or whatever. I mean, a MacBook Air, I guess you're losing the Retina display, but you have a lot more power. I mean, you're moving into Core i3, i5, and i7 processors. So, I don't know. But the Air 3, then you have to figure, like, what are the upgrades for that? I imagine the A9X processor that's in the iPad Pro. So, if that had if it had that processor, it seems to me, sort of cannibalize sales of the lower price point of the iPad Pro, and maybe that's why it's not out for the holiday season. But I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it really felt to me like Apple was going to take a whole year off on the iPad Air, and that we would see something next holiday season. I just don't. All of a sudden everyone's pinning a whole lot of hopes on March, because we've also heard Apple Watch 2 as a possibility. And Sachin Bahal is asking, do we think we'll see the iPad, or not the iPad, I'm sorry, the Apple Watch 2 in 2016 or 2017? I definitely think we'll see it in 2016.
I think so too.
And I think, wasn't March last year when they announced the first one? I think it was around there.
Yeah, I honestly can't remember when it was first announced.
Yeah, so I would say more than likely that the of all the devices we've heard rumored, I do believe the Apple Watch 2 is the most likely. I would say the iPhone 6C, not 7C, is the second most likely, and I would put the biggest question mark next to the iPad Air 3.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we are coming up on CES, which means Apple has got to say something about something during that week.
I feel like Apple, yeah, I know that happens, but I feel like they also have just sort of, like, there were, whatever, CES. I don't feel like to Apple the competition's there anymore. Like, what's at CES that they have to worry about? Like, tablets it's not a big show for tablets, not a big show for phones. It's not even really that big of a show for computers anymore. So it's more like smart home stuff that actually supports, I bet we're going to see a lot of stuff that has HomeKit integration, stuff like that. So I don't know if it's going to, do something during CES, but Mobile World Congress, where we've sort of seen around it. I think last year was the year that it actually didn't make an announcement during Mobile World Congress, but I forget. And I think it was right around it, like maybe shortly after. So,
well, I do, every year that I've been going to CES, which this is going to be my sixth, I've kept saying this is the year smart home is going to take off, and it never really materializes.
I think this is my
8th?
I don't remember.
Good grief, yeah.
I think it started in 2008. I don't remember though.
Oh, good grief. So, but yesterday, we ran that story about WebOS 3 for the LG televisions. And the idea, that now your television could become a notification center from your smart home devices, and the example given was like, a message pops up that your wash load is done.
Right.
I think that is a really interesting new aspect to smart homes. Now, I think you've got a good point. I think maybe Apple will be trying to push HomeKit more because it does seem like smart homes are finally coming at us. Finally. Yeah. It's just taking forever. And of course, right now, the cost is also extremely high. I mean, my house was built in the 80s. If I want, I barely can run Ethernet cables through it. So the idea of trying to retrofit it for smart home is a daunting one, to be sure. But moving forward with new home construction and apartment construction and all that, yeah, I think we're going to start seeing more and more home stuff. So maybe that would be Apple's foray into CES, or an announcement during CES, like, hey, everyone's taking on HomeKit,
or you'll just see sort of Apple doesn't have to do anything. It's just like all these companies will probably be like, oh, and it supports Apple HomeKit, and that's how Apple's sort of there, but not really. I don't know.
It must be nice to be Apple and not have to show up to things.
Yeah. Hold your own show.
Yeah, I know. It's always amazing. But no, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure we'll hear more about the potential March or April announcement as we draw closer and closer.
Yeah, and we still have to see. There was that rumor the other day, which I still, it was a 60 Minutes leak that were, was that a new laptop on 60 Minutes? Yeah, leak. I right away I was like, that looks like a space gray MacBook to me. That's how he wrote the post, but there were people out there on other sites and stuff that thought it looked like a brand new computer. So possibly, and that just brings up the topic that, possibly this spring is the MacBook Air with Retina, unless Apple just sort of replaces, it goes back to MacBook and MacBook Pro and just upgrades the MacBook from the Core M processor to Core I, which I think needs to happen. But the benefit of the Core M was that it's fanless. But we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know.
MacBook Air definitely needs a refresh. The display compared to everything else is just it's kind of blurry to look at, I guess, when you go back to it.
Yeah, oh no, that I agree with. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into the questions. We have a bunch of them here as we're wrapping up 2015. From Sachin Bahal, is the Moto 360 2015 worth getting?
I actually haven't used it.
Neither have I'm sorry, Sachin.
I saw it like when it was announced, but I haven't used it.
Does it tell time?
Yeah. My thing is, I'm not wearing a smartwatch at all right now, and I usually have the Apple Watch. There you go. You're still a Pebble. Android Wear is okay, and then I get annoyed with it. Like the notifications to me are just kind of useless. Same with Apple Watch though. It's not that. So it's just both, I guess. I'm just not really on board with either of them.
Jeff K, I do see your question about the iPad Pro. Could you provide some clarification on that? I'm a little confused by what you mean. Let's see here. So jumping on down, we've got a lot of questions coming in here. We answered that one already. Just a moment. From Sachin Bahal, should I wait until after the holidays to get a Sphero BB-8? Do you think it will come down in price in a couple of months? I don't think it doesn't strike me as the type of product that will get a price cut. I think you'll just have to find a sale.
Yeah, those Spheros are always expensive, right?
Yeah, they always are. But I also think that it's been one of the hottest products for the Christmas season. I don't think it's going to come down for quite a while. I mean, kind of like do I dare admit this? No,
yes, go for it.
I have a large collection of the fancy metal light up lightsabers. So I don't have Kylo Ren's yet, and by golly, I can't find one at list price at the moment. So I'm waiting until the fervor dies down before I pick up my Kylo Ren saber. But
nice. So they make like high-end lightsabers?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I'll show you one after the show. Okay. they're here in my office.
I think that's pretty cool.
I don't dare light it up during the show because everyone listening to the audio version would go, ah. Oh, yes, I'm a giant nerd and I admit it. And proud of it. Let's see here. From Matt Music. Why doesn't Cyanogen Mod make a version for OnePlus X? Oh, I think there's a lot of reasons.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the answer to that is, except for it sounds like their partnership was kind of died out.
Yeah, I think they just I think part of the problem would be that if they did make a version, it would almost seem like an endorsement of OnePlus. And
well, they did the original.
Yeah, for the original. But I think if they do it now after the partnership ended, I think it would come across as like an endorsement. And I get the feeling, this is pure speculation, folks, pure speculation, that relationship did not end well.
Yeah, I got that feeling too. That's why I was kind of like, yeah. And end of the day, I think OnePlus was trying to say, look, we want to get the software updates out there quicker than CyanogenMod or Cyanogen was getting them. So I think that's why they stuck to their own software this time.
Okay. Okay. So what Jeff K was saying was, he said that the computer or whatever it was in the 60 Minutes video looked to him to be like an iPad Pro with a keyboard that we had not seen yet, and he was wondering if we thought they did that on purpose. I think Apple is whatever that item was, believe me, Apple was well aware it was sitting there.
Yeah. I don't yeah. It was either a prototype leak on purpose, and then they're going to make a joke about it, like at a keynote, because that's how the new Apple seems to be, like when they're joking around, you know. But I honestly think it, and then I think that's just, you know, going a little too far. I honestly think it was just a space gray MacBook.
Yeah,
just at a different angle than, you know.
Hey, believe me, I have a feeling that anytime Apple's got filming going on in their offices, I am sure there's a team of people that come in and scan that room with their eyes.
Oh yeah,
going, why is that there? Why is that there? That needs to be put away. You know, just like when they went into Johnny Ive's lab and, you know, and there were tables covered with gray sheets.
Right. Absolutely.
They were well aware of what was in the shots.
Yeah.
Without question.
The only thing, like, and I firmly believe it was a MacBook. The only thing I could see is, like, say they unveil the new MacBook Air with Retina display or whatever in March or something, and they're like, remember this? Like, as a joke, and it had been in the background. But I just don't see it happening. I think it was just a MacBook.
Yeah, I tend to agree. From Sachin Bahal. First of all, do you guys like the Beatles? Also, what do you guys think of the Beatles music coming to streaming music services at midnight, also known as December 24th? Let me share a really quick funny story from my recent trip to England. So I took the train from Manchester to Liverpool to go visit. You've seen the pictures, Todd, the Tudor house, a place called Speke Hall. So I go to this very little train station, and because it's the closest to Speke Hall, I call for a cab. Cab comes, gets me. He's like, yo, where am I taking you? I go, Speke Hall. And as we're driving out of the train station, not a word has been said about the Beatles. Not a word. But I am in Liverpool, their home city. Mm-hmm. And we get to the exit for the parking lot, and we're about to turn onto the road. And he goes, yeah, Paul McCartney and John Lennon lived right over there. It's only a few minutes. What? I'm like, that's awesome. Why did I need to know that? I didn't say the last part in my head. I'm like, is that all you people could talk about?
Maybe you figured you could get the extra fare if you said, oh, let's drive past it.
I kind of think that, but he and I had a very, very pleasant drive to Speke Hall. I was explaining to him how we pay for football stadiums and baseball stadiums here in the States compared to how they do it. And he was explaining to me that if they ever tried to pass a tax to pay for a stadium, that there would be riots. And so we actually had a very, very pleasant drive. But I was just like, I have not said a word about the Beatles. I don't. Well, I personally, look, I respect what the Beatles did for music. Their music to me is enjoyable, but I don't go bonkers for them.
I like them, but yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah, I respect their place in music history without question, but they're just not 100% my taste. But now saying that, coming to the streaming services, that's awesome. I think the more music that's on streaming services, the better.
Yeah. I love how it's all of them at once too, as opposed to like an exclusive somewhere for, you know.
Yeah, remember when Steve Jobs got so excited that they were finally going to be able to sell Beatles music?
Yeah, on iTunes. That was wild.
That was crazy. But yeah, no, it's great. The more music on streaming services, the better. I had a talk with an old friend the other day via text, and he was telling me about how many CDs he currently owns. I'm like, why? And I mean, yes, I know, you know, there's compression and all that sort of stuff, but really, if you want to listen to a bunch of music, either MP3s or streaming, whatever, why crowd your life anymore with CDs? I mean, I used to have thousands of CDs. I've sold them all.
Yeah, it's just too much of a pain. Like, put a CD in, you listen to this song, you're like, oh, but I want to listen to that one. Then you gotta take it out and go find the other one and put it in. No.
When I was in high school, you know, in my my big, you know, cruise on the weekends phase, I had
those are the best days.
I had an 80 cassette tape case I carried with me.
Whoa.
Yeah. I had 80 cassette tapes with me every weekend driving around. And every week it was like, ooh, do I take that one with me? Ooh.
That's a lot of tapes to carry around.
Yeah.
Just keep them in the trunk.
No, actually, it sat on the, I had a bench front seat. It sat on the front seat in between the two seatbelt things. Yeah. Although it was almost always Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction in the tape deck. So I don't know why I bothered to carry anything else with me. I went through 3 copies of that cassette.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was really into that album. But
I'm gonna listen to it after the show.
You can skip most of side 2. Anyway. Moving on. So speaking of music services, Sachin Bahal asks, what music streaming services are you guys subscribed to? We've gone over this before. I'm the oddball that I'm only subscribed to Pandora because I like to explore for new music. Otherwise, I primarily have everything on MP3 and just listen to, you know, whatever I'm in the mood for. Todd, however, on the other hand.
Yeah, I have too many music streaming services. I'm actually on Google Play Music now, so I can play Appetite for Destruction next, which I just realized I know all of these songs anyway, but I'll listen to them in order. I also have that's Google Play Music. I also have Spotify, Apple Music, and I don't pay for whatever Microsoft says Groove these days anymore. And then I actually do use Pandora. I don't pay for it like you do.
Yeah, I just don't want to listen to commercials.
Yeah, I don't know why I have 3. It doesn't make any sense. But you know, there's things that bother me about one that I like about the other. Mm-hmm. So yesterday, for example, I was just messing around with some Elvis, and I don't know like a lot of old Elvis. I mean, I don't know like a lot of unpopular Elvis. So I was just looking for like his greatest hits or something. And that exists in Apple Music and Google Play Music, but not on Spotify. And most of the time, I'd say 90% of the time, I'm on Spotify. But then when there's something like that, I'm like, okay, I got to go to something else and switch it up. And
from
it's
Jeff
not
K,
worth the additional money, but I know what I'm doing.
From Jeff K, we already answered the first part of his question about which music streaming services. But he asks, have you seen the latest Apple iPhone video leak? Looks similar to the back of the leaked Moto X coming out this next year with its metal flat back finish. I assume you're talking about the video that came out yesterday, which we're calling bogus too.
Yeah, I just couldn't buy that. I just couldn't.
Yes, we ran it, and I think you explained it well in the post. It was just like the fact that the supervisor, air quotes supervisor, yells, "Hey!"
Yeah.
Would the supervisor have not grabbed the guy's phone, deleted the video?
Absolutely. Like that guy would be in a river somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way that was real. There's no way.
I don't know, but it was convincing. Like it looked like the Foxconn logo kind of like appeared on the shirt, and like I don't know, but like I don't know. That's crazy. Like Foxconn too, aren't those factory? Like I'm pretty sure it's like a campus. Like, can you imagine the risk you'd be going through filming that? Like,
I know it. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Oh, good grief! I just whatever. From Sachin Bahal, are you guys more excited for episode 8 and 9 or the Star Wars story films, i.e. Han Solo, Boba Fett, Origin films, and Rogue One? Well, I would assume this is more me.
Yeah.
I am really super excited for Rogue One because that is the type of story I've been looking for since the original Star Wars in 77. Once they got to the Yavin 4 base and we saw all the troops there, and then during the medal ceremony you saw all the troops lined up, even at 6 years old, I wanted to know the stories of your average everyday rebel, and that's kind of what Rogue One's going to be.
They have real rebel housewives.
Yeah. Real Housewives of Yavin 4.
Yeah, there you go.
My husband thinks he's an X-Wing pilot, but I'm the one that flies this ship. I cannot believe I just thought of that off the top of my head. Anyway, wow, I have never watched an episode of Real Housewives.
Me either.
I do, however, I watched the parody show on Hulu. The Real Housewives of Orlando and the Real Housewives of Las Vegas.
Those are parodies?
Yeah, those are parodies, and they're hilarious. The Han Solo origin film concerns me greatly because you're doing something with potentially one of the most iconic characters in cinematic history.
Yeah. So
that is going to be really, really risky how they handle that. That being said, I would love to see the story of Han and Chewie meeting each other. Yes, we've heard rumors and speculation on how they met for years, and that there was stuff in the expanded universe, but all that's been thrown out with the last canon reset, so they really can go anywhere with it. Boba Fett origin story. Okay, this is where people are going to wonder what exactly I'm on. I've never been that fascinated by Boba Fett as a lot of other people. I think he served a purpose. Yes, his armor was cool. I never sat around going, wow, I really want to know more about Boba Fett.
Yeah.
It just never did much for me. I am super excited for episode 8 and 9. So I would say in my order, it'd go Rogue One, 8 and 9, Han Solo, Boba Fett. Yes, I just ranked movies that don't even exist yet. 2 thumbs up. From Jeff K, are you saying Foxconn kills their employees?
No, but I think it's documented that they kill themselves.
That is documented that there are suicides. Although we haven't heard that in quite a while, so hopefully that was an anomaly. Let's see here. From Jeff K. Awesome, Todd. Are you guys going to cover the development of the video app Sirius is working on for Stern Shows? I knew they were doing something with Stern Shows. I didn't know it was going to be an app.
Yeah, me neither. I'll have to look into that. Thanks.
We will look into that, Jeff. I don't know why I suspect he's a Stern fan. Maybe it's his icon. Hey. Moving on down the road. From Sachin Bahal, what is the #1 tech gift for this holiday? I really don't think there was one be-all, end-all this year.
Yeah, well, weren't you saying you thought the Sphero would be...
Well, no, and the Sphero has done well, but see, to me, I count that as more of a toy.
Nice.
Yeah, to me, he's more of a toy than a tech gift.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're speaking traditional tech, be it tablets, phones, computers, and all that, I really haven't heard of anything being the hot gift this year.
Yeah, it's like we talk about all the time, but like sales numbers of tablets, like those are kind of on the decline because people don't need new ones that much. So like, I feel like tablets aren't hot. I mean, I'm sure they'll sell well, but I feel like it's not like, oh, everybody's getting a tablet this Christmas. And then, like there aren't, what's the new major phones? I mean, there's been a couple. You got the V10, the Lumia 950, OnePlus X and stuff like that, but I feel like those aren't, going to fly off shelves for Christmas. So I'm not sure what it's going to be. I wonder if it's things like the Amazon Echo and stuff like that, which I love. And I feel like that's one of those things where it's kind of expensive and you're like, I don't really want to buy it, but I don't mind asking for it if someone else buys it. So I wonder if that's going to be a popular holiday gift.
Wow.
Right,
I just looked over at the clock. I cannot believe how time has flown by here. Let's blow through a couple more questions real quick. From Jeff K. Why doesn't anyone sit in on the videos? I like watching you two. Just curious as to why we don't see anyone else contribute. I'd love to see what Choi has to say. Mainly, it's because
Choi says nothing.
Yeah, Roy just sits there and
Roy's
stares
fun.
at you.
He would be great for this show.
The whole problem is, of course, the end of the show, and I'm getting a phone call. The whole problem is with time differences, because I'm in Central Time, Todd's in Eastern, those guys are in Pacifics. So right now they're just getting into the office. Well, they've been in for 40 minutes, so we'd have to move the show so much later in the day. We actually, when we set the show up, we did have the idea of rotating hosts, but it's just been a time issue. Maybe at some point we will move the show a little bit later, so I can rotate in Roy and John and whoever else wants to sit in. But it is not that Todd and I just want to dominate the show, but it's just, unfortunately, we have the best time zones.
Yeah.
Eastern Central rule. From Matt Music, you're subscribed to all those. Why not Deezer? I've actually not heard of Deezer.
I've heard of Deezer. I subscribe to the main ones, and I don't even know why I've subscribed to this many. So it's sort of like I need to cut back, not look for more.
Oh, why not?
Yeah.
Come on, Todd. One more.
I mean, one of these days, I just got to switch to. I guess I'm waiting for like a Spotify family plan that makes sense. But I'll probably just switch to like my wife and I to one of them and stick with it.
Super geeky question here from Brazen Franco. I always wondered, could the Commandos resist Order 66? I just can't imagine the Delta Squad attempting to kill Obi. If you watch the Clone Wars cartoon, there was an episode where one of the Commandos figured out the chip that was in their head that would have forced them to do Order 66, and he removed it. Some of them were able to resist, as we've seen in Rebels, but the vast majority could not resist it because it was hardwired into their brains. And there are people going right now, did he just speak English?
I just did the over my head motion.
From Jeff K, what did you guys get your others for Christmas? Well, since I'm completely single,
still
nothing.
Others. I didn't do tech gifts for people. I don't usually get them for myself. What did I get people? Like clothes and stuff, shoes.
Oh, so you're boring.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, for my wife, like all the tech that we have in the house, she for her phone, she takes my hand-me-downs. Like she has my iPhone 6 Plus right now, and then the rest of the house is stuff I buy. So it's not like a tech gift we do.
Yeah, it's well, I mean, my family and I are kind of like, honestly, what we do anymore for Christmas is we say, what one project are you dying to get done?
Oh,
we have enough stuff in our lives. So, it's like, I think this weekend, I think I've got to build a kitchen table.
Nice. That's kind of fun, actually.
No, it's really not. It's from IKEA. Have you ever read those instruction books?
You have to put it together. I thought you were going to like cut the wood and stuff.
Oh, no,
start
dude.
staining it or something.
No, dude, because next week the show would be, hi, everyone.
I have 4 fingers.
For those listening on the audio podcast, I'm holding up my hand and hiding my thumb. But I am not, as they would say, particularly handy with power tools.
I can get around them, but I'm not good. I can't put a table.
I'm not good either. But I am not cutting wood and building things. No. Anyway, that will bring this week's episode to a close. We will be back here next week. However, the week after that, we will be off because we will be at CES. So do join us back here next Wednesday for episode 73. As always, we do appreciate you joining us. You can find us on the iTunes store by searching for the Techno Buffalo Show. We do appreciate if you rate and review us. That does help out the show. You can also find us on Pocket Cast. You can subscribe via RSS feed, and you can find us on the Stitcher app, which means you can listen to us anytime, anywhere. Anywhere there are podcasts, you can find the Techno Buffalo Show. Until next time, I'm Sean Ani. I'm editor-in-chief of Techno Buffalo. I've been joined by Deputy Managing Editor Todd Hazelton.
Bye, everybody, and Merry Christmas if you celebrate.
Merry Christmas to all of you that do celebrate. Until next week, take it easy, everyone. Bye-bye.